Hey everybody, before we get started, I just remind this episode brought to you by my patrons like Aga Comics, Qua, Jeremy Vasquez, Kylie Den, Nestor Flores, and Sotosan0424. If you like what we do and want to see us do more, consider supporting us on Patreon. You can get access to episodes early and lots of other goodies, and it'll really help us out. Thanks for your support, everybody. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. It is time once again to talk about Star Wars Legion by Fantasy Flight Games. That's right, we're back. It feels like forever. I assume it's been like a month, but it feels like a long-ass time. But there's Legion news. Most of which was already spoiled, but we're going to talk about it anyway, because maybe you forgot, like I did, about some stuff. So yeah, we're going to talk about the preview article on the Sabine Operative expansion, and some other stuff. And yeah, I've been good. I'm kind of eager to do some Legion videos again. I love doing this stuff. I'm kind of cooled off on doing X-Wing videos. I don't feel strongly enough about 2nd edition to do them consistently, and nobody watches them, so that kind of petered out, which is a little bit of a shame, because some of the new stuff does look pretty interesting, like what they're doing with Hyena Bombers, but I'm not really bothering too heavily about it, because, like I said, I don't think I could bring the consistency and energy I would want to such a product, but I can to Legion, because I fucking love Legion. Anyway, we're gonna talk about some stuff. So, I don't think there's much else to do, besides just go ahead and jump into the old Sabine slideshow I've built here. Alright. Let's talk about Sabine. First off, we'll talk about the underlying unit. So Sabine is an operative. She's a 1 mini card. She's a trooper. Obviously. She's unique. Her little subtitle, I guess. I was going to call it her key phrase, but yeah, her subtitle is Explosive Artist. That's funny. So what you're looking at here is for 125 points baseline, you're getting 5 wounds, 2 courage, respectable, but a red defense die, much loved by Rebel players. You don't get a lot of those. And she has Surge Crit and Surge to Block. So yes, that's Surge to Block on red dice. Yes, it is good. She's one of the tankiest Rebel units. Also pretty fast. She's speed 3 with a jump 2. And she also has Gunslinger, like Han. After you perform a ranged attack, you can perform an additional ranged attack on a different unit. She's got 2 guns, so she can... She has Impervious, like Boba, to add on to that red die. When defending, if the attack pool has any Pierce, you roll additional defense dice equal to Pierce X, and then she also has a Nimble for standard issue Rebel synergy. After defending, you get a dodge token back if you spend a dodge token. So for upgrade choices, she's pretty simple. She's got 1 training, 2 gear slots, and an arsenal slot. We'll see what that's for later. And for her weapons, she has a pretty basic, no frills, 2 black dice melee combat expertise. Not the best, not the worst. And she's got her dual Westar 35 blaster pistols, which are pistols, so they range 1 to 2. They're the rainbow die, 1 of everything, and they have Pierce 1. Some people have pointed out, oh, she doesn't have Sharpshooter. True, she does have Surge to Crit. She does have a little bit of variety of dice and can take a couple of whacks. So, and she's got some melee potential, which we'll talk about in a little bit, because we'll have to get down through a couple of slides to the upgrades that are coming in her pack for her. So there's that, but all in all, I think you'll see Sabine as kind of the tip of the spear in a lot of Rebel units. She's similar to Luke, especially with her upgrades, which we'll talk about in a second. You should know what they are, but in case you forgot, we'll go through some. But she's got jump, she's got a high mobility, she actually has a red defense die. She's arguably even more mobile than Luke with the extra speed and the jump ability being 2. Not quite as resistant, like if she actually takes damage, that's good, but she's got the ability to mitigate Pierce. She can, if you let her get up into those close range, she can start taking pot shots, shear guys out of units. Not enough, obviously, with only 3 die per attack to, take out a whole squad of guys, but definitely enough to put a dent in anybody getting up and close in your business. Now, we're going to see what her special gear upgrades are. She has 2 slots, so she can equip 2 of her other things. And in general, I don't think you really want any of the other stuff that could come there. Like, you could stims, maybe? But we'll talk more about that later, I think, when we get to her upgrade cards. The overall feel, though, is a lot of people are even concerned because she starts at 125 points, I don't really want to say, she's broken or unbalanced or anything. She's got a lot of pluses for her. She's got a decent chunk of discount. But without upgrades, which are quite expensive, her offensive potential is fairly middle of the road, I think. She's pretty accurate with those dice, but she doesn't have any inherent cover reduction. You're counting on Surge to Crits or just rolling enough dice. So guys in heavy cover will be pretty safe from her. Her solution to that will probably be get up in melee with them, for instance, because she doesn't have to worry about terrain a lot. And you don't have a super high damage potential on those pistols, so Naked Sabine's probably actually a little lackluster. You know, she's very mobile, but what you do with her when you get her into mobile, a mobile position isn't really super effective. But, like with Boba, you could always use her for, like, a tactical box grab or something, you know. That sort of stuff. She's good for that. But let's talk about some of the things she can bring that are unique, and we'll talk about her command cards. So, obviously, this is, like, your first video, or you've forgotten. We will show all the command cards and kind of this spread together, but I'm going to look at their individual images and read them off in detail. So let's talk about those cards. So first up is her 1-pip Explosions! You have to say it that way, there's an exclamation point. So, during the round this card is played, it activates only Sabine, by the way, Sabine Wren gains Arm 2 Thermal Charge. After she performs this action, she may perform a Speed 1 move. Until the end of the game, Sabine Wren gains Detonate 2 Thermal Charge. Do not discard this card from play. That's because you need to know what the effect of a thermal charge is. Thermal charges are a range 1 blast weapon, which roll 1 red, 1, or I should say an area. They are also blast, but the key word there is area. They roll 1 red, 1 white, and they have Surge to Crit on them, and are blast, so they ignore cover. So basically, what this card means is when you do it, Sabine gets an order token. During the round only it's played, so you're going to want to do it as at least one of her actions. She can spend an action to arm 2 thermal charges to throw them out at range 1 of herself and set them up. And after that, she can immediately perform a Speed 1 move. That's not an action, so I don't think that counts against. So that doesn't count against your action cap, and you get a free Speed 1 move to move out of the way. And then until the end of the game, Sabine can detonate 2 charges, which, with Surge to Crit and that 1 red in there, you're looking very strongly at 1 hit, which will ignore cover. With no, like, pierce or anything like that, guys can probably soak it, but, you know, that's suppression, that's area denial. God forbid you trick enemies into doing it. And also, you get to do 2. Most units have to do 2 actions to do that. Like, saboteurs of both sides are only arm 1 and detonate 1. Sabine can throw both out and detonate both out at once, which can be really nasty if you can get it set up. God help anybody who gets set up in an overlapping field of fire, for instance, on these 2 things. So, like I said, with only 2 dice in the attack, and no real way to replicate it long term, you can only do this. You can only do it twice, basically, because you're only going to get the action off once, unless you recover a command card. Which I feel like there's a way to do, but it doesn't. What is it? It doesn't spring to mind. So let me know if you remember that in the comments. I think that's only for specific people. Like, I remember that being a thing, but I can't remember who does it or why. But I'm not going to count that that's a consistent effect to recover a command card. Like, that might be something Chewie does, like with Han, that I don't remember off the top of my head. Anyway, you have very limited chances to do this, so I think the power is not in actually blowing it up, though when you do, you know, don't be afraid to let fly and detonate up to 2 of these things to let them get out there. But the power is that Sabine can now create these 2 range 1 circles within herself, and she immediately gets GTFO out of the blast radius. So your opponent can't even capitalize on the fact that, like, okay, Sabine goes first. Well, no, you don't get to pick any of your activations. So, you know, how are you going to work that out? Well, you've put two of these area denials on the field. That can be, you know, the psychological effect can be pretty good. You can use it to cover yourself. Like we said, you know, you can try and use Sabine because she's very mobile for, like, a box grab or something, which means you could, like, throw these out behind her so she's hard to catch up, or if she has to drop a box, it can't be recovered by the enemy, that kind of stuff. All kinds of area denial options, which are really important in this game. So the next card she has, I think also speaks to that, is Symbol of Rebellion. That's her 2-pip. It only activates Sabine Wren. When Sabine Wren activates, she recovers. That's pretty good for a couple of her tricks. We'll talk about those when we talk about her upgrades. During her activation, you may place 1 graffiti token at range 1 in line of sight, touching a piece of non-area terrain. So basically, she attaches the symbol to a piece of terrain. Let me check if the article reiterates it, but I believe the effect as stated by the developers in previews. Let's see if we can find it. Yes, so it's clarified at least that the symbol emboldens friendly units Anyone who can see the symbol token within range 1 to 2, roll an extra die when they rally so they can remove additional suppression. I believe it was said on the stream and stuff that it also does the reverse for enemies, but that's not mentioned in the article. We'll have to see until we get a rules reference update on the token, or we see it physically come out and we get the token booklet. I don't know. I don't know how they'll handle that specifically for like a special token. Hopefully it's in the online thing, because, that's the whole point of it. Anyway, we'll have to see if that actually affects. But this does help her area control. You put it on a major objective, your guys are more rally resistant, or more suppression resistant. They're better at rallying. Can help them pull some stuff off. If it does hamper enemies, which the way the article's written, it sounds like they try to phrase it like it doesn't, but it might still. That also helps her area denial theme. Otherwise, not much else to say about it. Mostly, you're probably going to pop this for her ability to recover, and then just, I can also place a token at a strategic moment now. And her third, which we've known about for a while, is her 3-pip, Legacy of Mandalore. This activates Sabine Wren and 2 troopers, so she's very unusual for a operative in that she can actually pass these units out. Not that you're going to want to necessarily use them willy-nilly, but first off, speaking of her rallying, Sabine gains Inspire 1 during the turn this is in effect. When Sabine Wren issues an order to a commander, operative, or special forces unit, she gains either 1 aim token or 1 dodge token. So basically, Sabine will gain either an aim token or a dodge token because she's issuing an order to herself. Hey, she's an operative unit. If you tag any other special forces or operatives or commanders, she can get aim and dodge tokens, which can be pretty potent. With Inspire, this is really good to pop on a turn. Maybe while Sabine's supporting special forces, everybody's like, oh my god, there's Mandalorians in this art. FFG does this all the time. And yet, there was a lot of concern about some stuff being in some X-Wing art that hasn't happened yet. So don't count on patterns. They can be broken. I wouldn't be surprised if at some point, because they do actually do some stuff. If there was like a mirrored Clan Ren Mandos versus Imperial Super Commandos thing going on, and also the Republic can get fucked, I guess, because CIS can maybe hire Death Watch, or maybe we'll get a Scum faction. Who knows? I'm not trying to remember. There were some interviews. The developers sounded like they were open to the idea of Scum. They would just have to bounce some stuff out. Like they want to make sure at the very least, they sounded like they were not pro the mercenaries route, because they were like, no, the way we're designing things, units are designed to fit in the faction they're released in, and not be multi-faction. Like the only multi-faction release we can expect might be Hondo, because he's truly neutral. Anyway, that's pontificating about other stuff. Legacy of Mandalore, pretty decent card. Sabine gets her order token. She actually issues orders to up to 2 troopers who are close to her. She gets Inspire 1 to help pull that suppression off so everybody can have a fun turn. And she gets lots of free tokens out of it. Can be fairly decent. Because she's getting a token herself, and she's got Nimble, so you don't really need more than 1 dodge token, especially if she has her shield. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. And, I mean, I don't know if you really need more than 1 aim token. You might, but you can use more than 1. But you might not need more than 1, so, like, don't feel too bad if you have to activate, like, regular troopers, like, core units to get an objective done with this. It's a pretty unique opportunity for operatives so far. So all in all, I think this kind of, like I said, sets up what you can see from Sabine. She's the tip of the spear, like I said. She's going to lead from the front. You're going to want to put her out there in a position where she can screen with explosions, where she can identify a key piece of terrain that you're going to huddle around for, her symbolism, and probably lead an important charge with like a Legacy of Mandalore pop where she can pull suppression off allies. Sabine's got a lot of interaction with suppression, which is pretty interesting. I think she's going to open up a lot of ideas for Rebels, because at the moment, suppression is very much an Imperial's game, and will continue to be with the way Shore Troopers are going to be with those mortars. But yeah, this is a pretty, I think, decent package. Obviously, since she's not a full-blown commander, you don't want to substitute all of it. And who knows, maybe you can skip some of them. For instance, if you're running like 1 commander, 1 operative, and you're not concerned about it, like maybe your commander's like Leia or something, so you already have some Inspire and stuff, or you've got Inspire on other upgrades in your troopers, you don't need to worry about Legacy of Mandalore. Maybe Sabine's not going to do it to take some other stuff. You could always decide to skip Symbol of Rebellion, because you're like, I don't need Sabine to recover. Maybe I'm running her lean and mean, But important decisions to think about. All of her command cards, I think, are decent, so long as you're playing them pretty good. All right, so we've alluded to them enough. You probably already know what most of them are, but let's go ahead and talk about the upgrades that are Sabine-specific in this pack. So here are the 3 upgrade cards that are Sabine-specific in this pack. There is one more. There is Endurance that comes in it. As people, I think, were already aware and stuff. But that one didn't fit so well in my graphic, but very quickly I'll cover it. Endurance is a training upgrade at the end of the activation phase. You may remove 1 suppression token for 6 points. Pretty good. I think that'll fit in a lot of places for 6 points. Training's a pretty diverse and even competitive upgrade slot, but I think Endurance works. You're going to see that a lot in a lot of places when it comes out. And I believe it's also going to be printed in Tauntaun, so you don't need to worry about buying a million fucking Sabines. Alright, but let's talk about her upgrades. So, first off, the big one. The Darksaber, her arsenal upgrade, for 25 points, taking her to a full-blown 150. This gives Sabine a new weapon. In melee, it gives her a 5 black die weapon, which is Impact 1 and Pierce 1. So, not the best, it's just a lightsaber, but a lightsaber-adjacent weapon with decent stuff. It also gives her Dauntless. After you rally, if you are suppressed but not panicked, you may gain 1 suppression token to perform a free move. That's a little scary. You'd probably want to do that definitely if you're pairing with Endurance to siphon that suppression away, which just makes her a little bit more expensive, but still, that means you can maintain Sabine's mobility, which is super important, because it's important to remember that, unlike Luke, Sabine at no point has charge. She does have a better jump, she has a better speed, but she doesn't get a free action out of it, so you can't double move and slap somebody with a Darksaber. You have to move then slap. Now, obviously, she's pretty good at that, but hey. So yeah, so that's... Dauntless is pretty good for her. When defending against a melee attack, you gain immune Pierce. Now, it's important to note that at least as of now, there's no specific note about this. There's no, FAQ ruling or anything as far as I know. This means that Impervious still counts, so you get to roll fucking extra defense dice, even though the enemy can't apply Pierce, which makes her a monster to defend, monster defender in melee. And I think this might be intentional, because I really feel like we've talked about this. Even with the Darksaber, it's still only 5 black. I mean, you get Surge to Crit, so they're pretty accurate, but she doesn't have a charge, so her action efficiency isn't as good as some other Saber Slingers. It's only Impact and Pierce 1, so that's not, a great conversion ratio. I really think Sabine's supposed to be a tank. Sabine's supposed to get up, tangle your enemies up in melee. People have talked about this with, Royal Guards or Wookiees, or even using Luke this way, though because Luke is your very important commander. I think you may find Sabine better at this, because her whole job is just get in a melee tangle and be like, no, I'm not going down. I'm going to stand here and block up your units and start knocking over, half a squad of guys in a swipe and go from there. A pretty decent effect. The Darksaber is not a must-have on her. Like I said, she's got pretty decent mobility. You can try and run her lean and mean for lots of stuff. She still gets fairly decent action efficiency with Gunslinger, so she can take 2 shots around at different enemies. But the Darksaber is pretty good for her. It really helps solidify her as a unit that has a role, and that role is to, like I said, get into melee and slap people. Then she's got 2 more of her gear upgrades, which are her only. So she's got her personal... Oh, I should point out, the Darksaber is unique, but it's also Sabine Wren only. I'm guessing that's just future-proofing, so you can't have multiple Darksabers running around if there's ever another character who can take a Darksaber or other stuff like that. That's just future-proofing. There's only one Darksaber, etc. The personal combat shield is not unique. It's 10 points for a gear upgrade. It's Sabine only. You gain shielded 1, you get a shield token, and recharge 1. When you recover, you can flip in an active shield token. So I believe it was clarified in the stream where they previewed some of this. The way a shield token works is it's basically like a permanent dodge token. You keep it there at the spend dodge tokens and stuff step. You can spend a shield token to remove 1 hit, or crit, I believe, which makes it slightly better than dodge. But you are dependent on your recharge keyword to actually get those back. You have to take an action to recover separately, so there's no nimble effects or anything. This just makes Sabine tankier. It's 10 points. I feel like that's starting to get up to be a significant chunk of adding onto her pointage, but it really will depend on your build. It just makes her more tanky. If you are running Symbol of Rebellion, do take this, or vice versa kind of thing, because then you get that free recover, you can get a shield token back, and be like, oh, I don't like that crit you've got hanging out there, let me get rid of that. Pass out some other shit like that. Otherwise, she's got Nimble, and she's got ways to get dodge tokens, she's a rebel unit, so it's not that big of a deal. But as a little bit of insurance, it can be fun. Like I said, I think that Sabine's role in the game is to just be a big, loud annoyance that your enemy has to waste resources on. Speaking of which, hey, let's talk about her Electro Grappling line. Now, this is a much more economical upgrade. For 5 points and an action, you get an Exhaust upgrade. Choose an enemy trooper unit at range 1 in line of sight. It gains 2 Immobilized tokens and 2 Suppression tokens. So, given that Sabine has a way to recover on a command card, and she wants to recover anyway, possibly with her shield, Grappling line is great. Just untap that sucker and be like, oh, hey, I'm going to take an action, and I'm going to just tangle you up with 2 Immobilized tokens and 2 Suppression tokens. Like I said, 5 points, 2 Suppression, that's nasty. Even if you only get to do it once, that's not quite like Vader's Master of Evil type shit, or, given to your hate, but, like, the ability to just pass Suppression tokens to units for free. And this is technically, well, not for free, it's an action, but still, this is technically repeatable. And just be like, whoop! Ugh. And it immobilizes too. That's just, so annoying. There's so much you can do with that as Sabine. And like I said, I think that kind of sets the precedent for, like, the fully kitted Sabine. She's gonna, like, get in there. Oh, I can't reach you to, like, hit you with melee. And there's no point in double moving because I don't have charge. Oh, let me just throw this grappling line on you. Splurt. Oh, shit, you're tangled up now. You can't go anywhere. You're suppressed. You're real fucked. You're going to see a lot of trolley builds with Sabine. And I think that Electro Grappling Line can go on her no matter what your command card selection is, though obviously if you are actually taking Symbol of Rebellion and you get that free recover, that's great. Make sure you use the Grappling Line before you recover. But I think even if you're running, like I said, a lean and mean Sabine, you can afford to make her 130 just to be able to drop that annoyance on somebody. And, leave them in the dust or something. The girl has speed 3, jump 2. Like, you tangle somebody up and you jetpack away. They can't catch you. Alright, and that's, upgrades. And those are all the upgrades that are in the pack. Let me double check. Yep, no, that's it. Darksaber, Grappling, Combat Shield, and Endurance. So it's a pretty streamlined. And so, we are at the outro. And I will say that, hey, as you can see on this slide, by the way, they announced that Legion paint sets are a thing. I decided that wasn't worth the full video, but it's neat. I believe it's established that these are basically a rebrand of the Army Painter brand, but with the Star Wars Legion official branding on them and special names like, Blaster Bolt Red and Lightsaber Blue and Duros Skin, stuff like that. Fun stuff. So obviously if you're like really into paints, you know the pluses and minuses and stuff, but they got these little dropper bottles. I believe some people have theorized that this release is probably going to be sold in places alongside Legion who don't necessarily sell paints otherwise, or don't sell a wide variety of paints, or maybe they don't sell this brand of paint kind of stuff. And you can discuss all that pluses and minuses. I'm not super deep on that. That said, I think I've said this before, that I don't get an opportunity to buy and play a lot of physical Legion because I don't have the time and budget for that right now. So for me, that means I would definitely be interested in picking these up, like a core set. And hopefully they release, after those factions are out, they announce and release CIS and Republic-themed paint sets, because as you can see, there's a core set, which has a variety of some generic colors. And then they've got the more specific type ones. And I mean, I don't know if these are actually the exact paints that, like, FFG is using in-house when they paint stuff, but probably something akin to that. I mean, you don't just do the brand deal. I think it's been endorsed by a couple of guys who paint in the community that FFG's talked to, so I'm sure it's a decent product. It might not be the bestest product, but it's there. And it looks like it's going to have a decent color variety. It'll get you a couple stuff, like I can already see, like, you got a little bit, like the Imperial set, you got a little bit of red, you got your couple of whites, some grays. I think there's kind of that one wash color that might be suitable. There's some blacks in there, so you can get, like, Vader, Death Troopers kind of stuff, get some grays in there. They got a Sand Trooper Pauldron, I think is one of the colors to do your Pauldron markers. They do have a red in there, which I love, because, in case you don't know, my plan is, because I still want to, buy some of these guys. Imperial guys. Is, for instance, if I was going to do snowtroopers, I'd paint them all red, like quote-unquote Vader Security Force guys in the Super Star Wars for the Super Nintendo kind of thing, just to avoid the terrain problems some people have. Just be like, no, they're special, they're red. Love that. Actually, that may be, yeah, I think that's a Royal Guard red, which is also a great color for them. So, like, for units that are already released, I think it covers a decent chunk of your colors. You might have to mix and match if you're gonna, like, get the quite the tan color on some of those shore troopers and stuff. Anyway, sounds fun. If you're interested in that kind of thing, they're bringing it. And I think it's a neat brand integration. Like, a lot of people on the forums were like, well, where was this, a year ago kind of thing? I've already painted all my guys. Or I, already had all the paints I needed anyway. And I do think there's a little bit of loss, but I think especially with them releasing, the Clone Wars factions is going to bring a lot of people in. Hopefully they're planning on Legion getting bigger. And obviously negotiating these kinds of things takes time. I think it'll still sell pretty good and be a great way to get more people into it because Legion is a lot of people's first minigame of this style. So it's a good marketing opportunity. Anyway, I'll keep you apprised of any future Legion announcements one way or the other. Got any stuff going on. Not a lot of new news yet. Still waiting on more clarifications for stuff. But since they're releasing Sabine's preview, that means that probably next week there'll be a Bosk preview we can talk about. We can, discuss whatever fun stuff Bosk does, which has already been spoiled, but I forgot already because I'm not that into Bosk. But some people like Bosk. If you like Bosk, let me know in the comments below. Speaking of which, let's just go ahead and outro this video. I won't take up too much more of your time. Just, keep an alert stuff. Keep it live. And I will say that if you like this video, give it a like. That little bit of engagement really helps me know that people are still watching these and still want to see them. I'm probably still going to make them even if people don't watch them and see them, but, the feedback helps. If you have any comments, like I asked for, leave them in the comment section down below. Anything, how you feel about stuff. And also you can link to our Discord. That link is in the description. You can chat with people there about stuff. And if you're new here and haven't already, please subscribe so you can always get more Legion videos and other stuff. I haven't got my hands on the full thing yet, but I know Rise of the Separatists is out, so I could maybe be running if I can get my home group away from other stuff, or maybe I can find some volunteers from the audience, I might run a Clone Wars themed campaign. And, it's always fun. Oh, and even if you're already subscribed, don't forget that bell for notifications. Always know when we post a new video. That can be a little chaotic. We don't always have a regular schedule for stuff like this. There can be a little bit of variance. But yeah, so that's everything. Funnily enough, the episode where I talk about the paint thing is also the Sabine preview, so, happy painting, everybody. Whether it's actually painting your minis or it's exploding paint. I'll see you in the next video.